Out of the gates and ready to go in his Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow, Travis Kelce, he reveals why he's returning to the NFL. Can he return and play at a high level? The Cleveland Browns make an incredibly stupid decision with Deshaun Watson. Plus, Happy Gilmore, too. It's going to be worth the watch. That and more straight ahead here on Hot Mic. While you're here at YouTube, we hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe on the OutKick YouTube page. It was that loss. It was the Super Bowl loss that Travis Kelce says is playing a big factor into his decision to return for one more year. He's still under contract for one more year. But, Chad, we get the return of Travis Kelce and presumably the return of T Swift.
You know,
aren't we all grateful?
Wouldn't we all be so lucky if our low point was losing a Super Bowl when you try to win your fourth?
And third straight, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Really, I talked a lot about rock bottom yesterday for sports fans, for people, for the Democratic Party at the address to Congress. Talked a lot about that. And, I mean, if we could all be so lucky to be Travis Kelce that our rock bottom is not playing great in your opportunity to win a fourth Super Bowl after winning an AFC championship, a conference championship that most NFL players would love to win just one and play in one Super Bowl, that's quite the low point for Travis Kelce to really motivate him to want to come back and play at a higher level.
If you want to hear from the Kelces, you hear from them through the New Heights podcast, and here he is.
Why are you playing another season?
The biggest thing is that I love playing the game of football.
That's a good reason.
I love playing. I still feel like I could play it at a high level and possibly at a higher level than I did last year. I don't think it was my best outing. I let my guys down in a lot more moments than I helped them, especially if you look at my track record and how I've been in years past. I want to give it a good run. I got a bad taste in my mouth on how I ended the year and how well I was playing and, you know, how accountable I was for the people around me. And I love so many people in Kansas City, both in that facility, in the community. It's home for me now. I don't want to leave that life yet. I put in a lot of hard work and I put in a lot of, focus into being the best that I can for KC. Last year, it just, it didn't end well for us. I feel like there's a responsibility in me to play out the contract that I initially signed, to give Kansas City and the Chiefs organization everything that I got. And that's what I'm going to do, man.
I hear what you're saying. I think, it's hard losing a Super Bowl. You feel like there's so many things you could have done better or whatnot. Don't lose sight of the big reason that you guys are there is because of who you are. You know what I mean? I know you're going to be dedicated like you always are.
Kansas City, baby. We're back at it for at least one more year. I can't say whether or not this is going to be the last year because I still love a lot of what I do for the city of Kansas City and the Chiefs organization. So I know I got one on my contract. I'm going to give you guys everything I got, baby.
See, I hear that as the last year, the last run, mentally in the offseason, gearing up for that, Chad. He says he knows he could play it at that high level. I believe he could play at a level that was more than what we saw this past season. And I think that locks him in. I think we see a better version of Kelce than what we saw this year. Do we see peak Travis Kelce? Probably not. But I didn't see that same magic, is the only way I can describe it, between he and Mahomes this past season. We saw some of it, right? Like they look at each other and they figure out what they're going to do. But if that magic's there, you do that more often than what we saw this year, much like we've seen throughout his career. I think that comes back, and that's why he can play at a high level.
Yeah, I think he'll play better. Play at a Travis Kelce level, high level, is different than most players in the league because he's great. So I don't know that he's going to get back to that, but I do think he'll play better than he did this past year. And Hutton, you talk about the magic kind of being gone with the Chiefs. I just get this sneaking suspicion that this part of the party is over. That it's not a passing of the torch as much as a let's get to the next iteration of what the Chiefs' future dynasty is going to be. The comp that we're going to continue making is Patrick Mahomes to Tom Brady. And Patrick Mahomes, with all of his success early in his career, he's going to have to go through that transition phase to get to the next batch of dynasty players. Travis Kelce's not going to be in that batch, right? So this could either be a go for broke, come back, get back to the Super Bowl, win it, and go out on top and, as we've talked about, propose to Taylor Swift on the field and retire in the same moment next year, the Super Bowl. It also very much could be, and I think this is the way it's leaning, hanging on 1 year too long and trying to sort of run it back. And it's not going to be as successful as this past year, where they had a terrifically successful regular season from a win-loss standpoint. They beat great teams in the playoffs because the AFC is great year in, year out, and they ran into a buzzsaw, the Philadelphia Eagles. Do I think they're getting back to the Super Bowl next year? Still hard to bet against them. even diminish Kelce. And then with Patrick Mahomes, hard to bet against them. But I'm starting to lean towards betting against it being like it was this past year again.
Where they really need to lock in is in the red zone. Kelce just 3 touchdowns this season. He had 5 the year prior, and then he was coming off a 12-touchdown performance in 2023. He had 97 catches. That's 5 more receptions than he had a year ago in the previous season. So it wasn't like he wasn't as productive in targets, but in terms of yardage and putting points on the board, just wasn't there. And then he's admitting that he wasn't as focused. I mean, that, again, to me, that's a pro athlete locking in for what's the final ride. And what just happened doesn't need to be the final chapter. You want to put an exclamation mark on it. Again, Chad, I'm with you. It's not going to be 2023 version of 2022 version of Kelce, where he had 12 touchdowns and he's putting up 1,500 yards receiving or whatever it was. But it's going to be better than 800 yards and 3 touchdowns. Well, it has to be for the Chiefs to be the Chiefs.
And I like what he said. Jason Kelce said, you're passing up a lot of money by coming back and playing football. Like, he's going to make more money in his post-playing career than he does now. And he said, I just love football so much that I don't want to give it up yet. I like that. It's admirable. And I'm not surprised by it only because of the way that game went down. He was totally ineffective. The Chiefs look lost. The Eagles just bashed them.
Yeah.
Start to finish. Yeah. And a champion like Travis Kelce and a guy who's played at his level, if you have the ability, if you're not getting shut out by your team and told to leave, I'd have a hard time walking away from that too. And I know he's wired that way where you don't want to leave that lasting impression. If you feel like that's the last time you walk off a football field, you don't want it to feel like that if you have the opportunity to try to make it different the next year, which he does.
All right, so
a lot of great athletes don't have the option, right? They're forced out, they're traded, they're cut, they're going to go to a bad team and play out their career.
Yep.
But when your GM and your team and coach wants you back, I think it's a difficult thing to say no to.
Think about it.
A chance to reverse the way it ended.
Think about how hard it would be to not be distracted if you're him.
Yeah.
Like the lifestyle and then the Taylor Swift lifestyle. And then those two, the Chiefs and Taylor Swift, combined forces, and you're right you're the target. You're the center of it. I mean, how could you not go off track a little bit and get, focused on the glaring lights of Hollywood and all the parties and all the cameras, and then trying to keep Taylor Swift happy at the same time and going on tour? I think going through that, he probably has a better grip on how to stay focused now. And I think that helps him in 1 year. Not just like, okay, I've got this under management now. No. I think mentally he's gearing up for that final year on the contract, and the Chiefs aren't extending him.
I also think that lifestyle and everything he's doing, Taylor Swift and the parties and the celebrities and everything else, that could make a man turn his back on his profession and want to go fully into that lifestyle, or easy or just different and exciting or whatever. And it seems like it kind of makes Travis Kelce even appreciate the football part of it a little bit more, that part of his life. I don't know. I'm playing, armchair shrink right now.
No, I mean, that's
it does feel like he's kind of, in a weird way, the football is sort of his release.
Now it is.
Right? Like he's got the life of big-time celebrity, one half of the biggest entertainment power couple in the world.
You got this badass podcast that you're trying to...
And I still want to go bang hats.
Yeah.
Like, I still like the physical part of the game. I like the grind of it. I like the locker room. I just love football. That sounds genuine of Travis Kelce. Like, he's a dude who loves ball. And if he's given a chance to continue playing, he's going to do it.
Doesn't it also... I mean, I can't help but think about how great Mahomes has to be in order to manage like the drop-off in Kelce production and still get back to where they... with the one-score games and the final possession games. And if you didn't have that same... and the magic wasn't there. You didn't have that go-to player. He still made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a detail that I think won't be mentioned in this story that deserves mention because, I mean, it's Mahomes. And that's why Chad, and I'm with him, he's like, well, they're going to make the Super Bowl next year? Well, I mean, I can't put it past them. That's why. It's because they made it this year through the ups and downs.
It just feels like they're going to do something, make some sort of move, or have the right draft pick fall to them to where we're going to go, aha, that's how they're going to be even better next year.
They always have that pick.
They're going to get that guy that everybody's thinking is going to go somewhere else, and, oh, now the Chiefs are going to be right back in the Super Bowl once again.
Yeah.
But doesn't it feel like if he's ever going to reach Brady status from a championship standpoint, there's going to be a whole new group of guys that Mahomes is eventually going to do it with in the future.
Maybe 2.
Yep.
I mean, there were 3 eras of Brady.
Yeah.
So maybe 2 more eras of Mahomes, given his age. You know, like there's a long way to go. And I think the age, I think we see Mahomes and Kelce as like the same age because we see them like progress at the same level. There's a huge gap there in terms of NFL salaries, NFL contracts. Chad, speaking of NFL contracts, Deshaun Watson, the only fully guaranteed contract that we've seen in the NFL, given to the former Houston Texans quarterback. And, well, they've done some maneuvering with that lately. The Browns being stupid.
Yeah, they're restructuring the contract of Deshaun Watson. When this news came out, I'm thinking, man, what a reminder of the worst contract in the history of the NFL that's ever been signed. And it's so bad on multiple levels. It was dumb. At the time, many thought it was dumb. And it was dumb of the Haslam family, now Jimmy Haslam specifically. It's really dumb when you look back at it. But it's also so bad for every other quarterback that wants to get that level of Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL security where your contract is fully guaranteed that you have in the other sports. Because Deshaun Watson turns out to be like the worst guy you could have given the guaranteed contract to as a quarterback. I'm sure there are a number of other quarterbacks currently playing that would have gone on, won a Super Bowl, played at a very high level, and done great with that guaranteed money with the contract. Deshaun Watson has proceeded to be maybe the worst quarterback in the NFL. He's played in 19 games since the Browns traded for him. 3 first-round picks to the Houston Texans. He posted the lowest total QBR in the NFL last year before a season-ending injury. So not only is it the injury prone, it's the badness of him. And then he tears the ACL again in the offseason in January. Like, it just goes from bad to worse for Deshaun Watson. And this whole kicking the can down the road with his contract and the $92 million it still owed him, 46 this year, 46 next year before they're finally out of it after the 2026 season, it feels like they should just cut him and be done with it. But here's just they're going to take a bigger hit right now if they do that. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. And they were damned the moment they gave Deshaun Watson the guaranteed money. And that's a shame. It's a shame for the Browns, their fans, Hutton. It's a shame for every other quarterback that wants the guaranteed money.
Well, it's the wrong approach right now because I want to know their plan on why they're trying to save the money up front instead of
just going ahead and eating it.
Well, because if they eat the money now and just do away with the contract, right, the cap hit is going to be large. I mean, the dead money for Watson in 2026 after this upcoming season was going to be $99 million. And now, because of the restructure, they convert what was going to be a base salary and they put it into a bonus. Because they've done this, now the cap hit in 2026 goes up to $135 million, from 99 to 135. And then the cap number scheduled to be $54 million is now $81 million. So, like, they're taking big hits in the future in order to make things better in the present. 2027, Watson, a free agent. The Browns are going to carry a $53 million cap charge for him in the year where he's a free agent, and they're not going to bring him back because of the restructure. So the savings that they're taking this year, allows them to do and make a move. They're making a lot of moves towards the future that tell me, the cap's going to continue to go up. We're not worried about this or that. And when they just won't cut their losses, pay the man that they're having to pay, and eat it now instead of later. They're doing it now, and they're keeping Watson around, albeit on the PUP when he's recovering.
Well, and we all believe they're going to draft a quarterback, right?
I think they have to.
That number 2. And that just makes the whole thing even more awkward. So the quarterback comes in, and here's Deshaun Watson at the facility recovering from a torn Achilles.
They may tell him to work out, like to recover or rehab
but
elsewhere.
It's just a weird, so we're still going to have to pay this guy. It's like a babysitter right? And just keep them on the side. It's like a babysitter who actually doesn't babysit anyone. But you're the future of the organization. Oh, by the way, the quarterback who's still on the payroll that's making a gigantic sum of money has created a giant albatross for us to help you as a young quarterback in the NFL. Welcome to Cleveland, Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
What a weird circumstance to come into the league into.
Well, and it's setting up, again, maneuver the cap however you want. It's setting up for, at some point, you kick the can down the road enough. New Orleans Saints had to do something by restructuring Drew Brees all the time. Drew Brees was a good quarterback, though. This contract was set up where the quarterback would have restructures along the way. But Chad rattled off the stats. That's not restructure worthy. They wanted to restructure year to year in order to make money on the upcoming off-season's cap number to go out and attack free agency in the draft. They have 9 picks in the draft. The Browns do. But they've traded away a lot of high-value picks, plus they're taking on a ton of cap hits in order to keep him around. The production has not met the money, but the restructuring, that could be a huge, take out one of the legs of the chair, so to speak. One's already taken because the production's not there. Now, future years you're accounting for him in future years where in 2027 he won't even be there.
I want the quarterbacks who are drafted in the top 5 to have this overwhelming sense of optimism and excitement about where they're going, wherever that organization is. I can't tell the quarterback who's drafted with the Browns that you should be excited about it. And that sucks.
Well, with or without Watson there.
Right. Yeah. And it's just because of the Watson contract, they're screwed.
Well,
in the immediate future. So, the Bears were in a bad spot, and it's not a great organization in terms of the way they've been managed recently. But at least when Caleb Williams is drafted, it's, hey, man, here's the keys to the Ferrari. Here we go. We're going to build our roster around you, and you're the guy. And then it's just this odd purgatory that Deshaun Watson is that you're forcing the next quarterback that you're taking number 2 overall to join him in. It's a bad spot, bad situation.
I don't hate their roster. Their management of the quarterback spot has just really crippled
How
them.
much less do you like it without Myles Garrett? Because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, they say they're not going to trade him, but we'll see. Let's see what happens with what is their plan as to why they're restructuring to save money this year on the cap in order to take the hit next year.
Is this their sales pitch to Myles Garrett to get him to not want to be traded?
Well, I guess they could restructure him, but he doesn't want to restructure them.
No.
He doesn't want that.
But I don't know why you would unless you're saying, well, first off, they had to get cap compliant to begin with, but it's going to open up some spending money for them. But is this their sales pitch to Myles Garrett? Hey, Myles, look what we're going to do. We're going to draft a quarterback, and we're going to go and buy some free agents, and we're going to be better next year. So you need to be happy and not want to get traded. That's not going to work.
Are they trying to wait on the decision of Kirk Cousins in Atlanta? I mean, again, what's going on there? Because that would be a situation where Atlanta would eat the majority of that contract, like Denver did with Russell Wilson.
I mean, I love Kirk Cousins.
I don't know.
Kirk Cousins isn't bringing anybody to the playoffs in the NFL right now.
Well, neither's Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
No.
Their current starter.
No, and my point is Kirk Cousins is Matt Hasselbeck when he's with the Titans, right? He's going to be okay. He's going to come in. He's going to do his job. But he's not a playoff-level quarterback anymore.
He's Jameis Winston.
The injuries are piling up.
Jameis Winston.
And the age.
Will you bring back Jameis?
I mean, it's...
Jameis has done everything but talk about Cleveland.
Better than DTR, I guess I would say.
Yeah. No, you go rookie.
You go rookie. You're going to draft one of the 2 quarterbacks, but could have a Archie Manning type situation too with one of the quarterbacks.
I guess.
Don't draft my son.
I haven't seen that reaction, though, from the Sanders family.
Some of this could be done in private.
It could be.
Maybe he won't air it publicly.
I think we would hear it, though. It would get out. It would get out through Cleveland if that were the case. Or it would get out through other teams that would know about it. Like, we're not the team at Cleveland.
It's going to get out through someone if that's the case.
I've asked a lot of people about this. So, who's the team? No one can really figure that out. It's not really the team. It's an individual on a team in the front office that they don't want to be associated with for whatever reason. Trey Hendrickson, pass rusher for the Bengals, he's been granted permission to seek a trade and a new contract through his agent. That's the timing of this is odd. If you're the Bengals, don't you do that last week while all the teams are together? All the agents are in Indianapolis together instead of now? That's strange timing when you can get a lot of business done behind the scenes last week when everyone's face-to-face. That's why you have Matthew Stafford getting something done with the Rams. Chad, I take this as the Rams wanted that with Stafford so that Stafford could get market value or get some semblance of what is this guy worth on a 3-year contract. And then let's come back and let's come to terms on something based on what you can get if we traded you. You know, trade value, contract, or just you come back to us. Hendrickson, I think he's out because ownership there, notoriously cheap. When I say cheap, they're still paying millions, but cheap. They paid Burrow. They're going to pay Jamar Chase. They franchise tagged Higgins. Teams have been calling about T. Higgins. I don't think you trade Higgins because of Joe Burrow at his prime. They're putting up 30-plus points per week. NFL offenses aren't doing that. Just look around. You've got a huge weapon there. Hendrickson's he's your sack leader. I get it. But you can't pay everyone, and this draft is great when it comes to edge rushers. So if you make the right pick, while he may not be Hendrickson, he can be a version of that if you change defensive coordinators, which they did, and you believe in the fact that you're not going to lose, 4 or 5 games in a season where your offense scores 30 or more points. So they do look for draft capital there. But I don't foresee Hendrickson getting a contract extension in Cincy the way he's expecting it, and he deserves it. He should go elsewhere. And the Bengals should keep Higgins. Even though that's a huge chip, that's an asset for them in the draft, they should keep Higgins because of Joe Burrow.
Higgins
in his
got
prime.
got
tagged.
Franchise tagged, yeah.
But you can sign, you can tag and trade.
Yeah. I think the plan definitely is to keep T. Higgins. I was skeptical the whole time. The Joe Burrow public shaming tour that's been going on, not even just them. Would the Bengals willfully do exactly what Burrow was saying and pay everyone, or could they? This could be an example of they're cheap with Trey Hendrickson, and Trey Hendrickson knows it. And I also think maybe because of his value as the NFL sack leader, like, is it even possible to pay him what he's going to get elsewhere? Not
whenever you just paid Burrow, you're about to pay Chase, you've tagged Higgins, not when you're doing that. And you have other holes. So I don't think it's possible to pay the money up front like that. The cash on hand is what we're talking about. The signing bonuses are cash on hand. That's, some owners can do it, some owners can't. And Chad, we talked about it last week. I brought it up. Like, Burrow in his prime, I'm not taking those weapons away from him. Burrow and Chase are going to be locked in.
Yeah. But
it's Higgins that you have to keep happy. He's tagged again. You could tell he's unhappy about that. I would be too, because you're getting the money now. You want the money now. And then Hendrickson's value is extremely high. But what's his value compared to the other 2 receivers? He's number 3 for me, even though he affects the quarterback.
It's the first thing I thought was, what is Joe Burrow thinking right now when this was going down, when Hendrickson requested trade, because there was a concerted effort by him to keep the band together, to say, we have something good going. It was one-off year, but statistically, we're really close to being a great team, and we're still in a Super Bowl window, even in this loaded AFC. And then your buddy Hendrickson, who's a big part of that, the biggest part of that on defense, says, I'm requesting a trade. I want out. I'm not into this and what Joey B is saying. I mean, it's business. You know, it's a different side of the ball and all that. It's kind of a slap in Burrow's face, too. And it could be, I don't think it's a statement towards Burrow as much as it is the open market and business and maybe Cincinnati not wanting to be with that organization. But I would still take it as a slap in the face if I'm Joe Burrow, because that was one of the guys he was talking about specifically about them needing to re-sign and keep them together.
Yeah, part of the core.
And now he wants out.
Can make a run. Can help you make a run. Pac-Man Jones. Chad, my first year in an NFL locker room was Pac-Man Jones' rookie year.
Yep.
Here in Nashville.
What a year it was.
Rookie year, I mean, he was spectacular on the field. Punt return, corner. I was there when he got his signing bonus.
Some would argue spectacular off the field, too.
How do we put this? A menace.
Yes. A menace to society.
A menace.
A guy who liked to spit.
Spit, and I mean,
A lot of public spitting,
strip club
spatting
shootings,
incidents,
accusations, many things.
A lot of stuff.
There's a record. There's a timeline. He was on an episode of Dion's Tubi show. We got time today. And I'm reading this from NBC Sports that Jones made a claim regarding his efforts to beat the NFL's drug testing policy and the protocols. Quote, I cheated the program. Like, I was really good. People don't know how smart I am, but like I could say it now. I don't play no more. But like, I never used my piss for a piss test. Not one time. Not one time. I would love to hear him say this because in Pac-Man's voice, it's like, I ain't got no time. You know, with the pool cue incident in West Virginia, that's just how they is in West Virginia.
Yep.
Where he beat some dude with a pool cue at a bar. That's just how they is in West Virginia, Chad. But here's Pac just saying, yeah, I just used someone else's urine the whole time. Dion told Jones that can't happen today. And Pac says, it can happen if you know what you're doing. Don't say it can't happen, Pop. Hey, Pop, don't say it can't happen.
I am looking right now.
I think they go in with you now with the urine cup.
I'm just looking at the timeline of 2007 to present.
Yep.
Legally, you had an interaction with an officer that was not good on I-65 headed out of downtown Nashville on May 7th, 2007. You had a questioning with him and his guys about an Atlanta strip club shooting on June 8th, 2007. You had the Las Vegas incident in 2007.
That's a big one if you haven't seen it.
He was accused in 2008 at the same strip club where he was questioned about a shooting for punching a woman in the strip club. He was forced to foreclose on his home in Williamson County in 2008. That's how many? 4 or 5 incidents? There's 7 more that I can go down the timeline on his Wikipedia and find.
If Steve Burke is watching, he's cringing right now. He's the head of security.
I lay all these things out to say the fact that he used someone else's piss on drug test does not surprise me at all. This is the least surprising story of the day. I want to know the technology that was involved in the movie The Program, where Latimer, who was on roids, remember he had like the geeky guy who looked like he played Dungeons and Dragons in the movie that was doing, he's like, it takes the dope urine out and puts the clean urine in. But he wasn't doing like any type of bag or anything. He had like syringes, and he was doing something to the bladder that was like pulling drug urine out and putting clean urine in a system where he could actually piss. I just thought about that. 1993, the movie The Program, I feel like medical science when it came to cleaning up urine was far advanced than just Pac-Man using someone else's.
Yeah, I think this is just like, hey, take this cup in here and go pee in it for me, and then let me use it, hand it to me.
Yeah.
Now they send someone else. I thought they've always done that. They send someone else, send someone in there with you. You know what I mean?
This is like when in the TV shows.
What an awful job, by the way.
TV
to be
shows
the guy who holds the cup.
Yeah, it has to be there. All right, don't spray. How's your prostate looking? I don't want it to scatter too much here.
How's your aim?
Yeah, let's get it in there. We don't need the scatter shot stuff here going on. Let's shoot straight. It's like the TV shows, the movies where like the prison guards just turn the other way and allow the beatings to happen. Yeah. Like, is this someone with the NFL just paid to just, all right, Adam Jones, it's your time, and they just walk out of the bathroom and let whatever's going to happen? I
don't know what. I mean, let's just say it was loose whenever I was first in the locker room. Not that I saw anything. I don't remember, like, the drug test happened randomly, and you get a note at your locker, and you have to go report to the area where someone's waiting on you to check in. You sign in, and then you go take your drug test, right? Just so happens, like, if a punter has a 75-yard punt, miraculously, he's tested the following week. They're testing for everything. But at the time, marijuana is illegal.
Mm-hmm.
So
that punt return, Pac-Man, was a little too nice.
It's a little too nice.
Let's step into the stall over here after this game.
You scored how many touchdowns this game? Let's check
come
this
back
out.
Against the Giants, and the punt return you had was spectacular. Let's go piss it out and see if it was legal or not.
Now, I'm pretty sure that this the Wizinator. I don't know if this is something that Pac was referring to or not, but that was something that there was a running back that got caught with this in the airport. The old Wizinator is like it's just a fake.
It was someone caught with it. I really want someone in the medical community that watches the show to reach out to us at some point at the Chad Withrow at Hutton OutKick and let us know the science behind the movie, the program. I remember correctly, it was like the dude that again looked like he played Dungeons and Dragons his whole life in a dorm room with like long blonde hair, and he looked a little goth, and he's like doing something with a syringe, and he gets Steve Latimer in there, who's been juicing since the offseason. And he's like, what does this do again, man? And it takes the dope urine out and it puts the clean back in. And he does it. Is that accurate? That's what I want to know.
There's the Wizinator, the Whiz Kit. That's how you fake it, apparently.
I love that there's like
I love how it's a
banner
novelty,
next to it.
The
Also,
novelty kit.
Right.
Refillable urine novelty kit.
This is the Chinese
Is this
version.
an SNL kit? That skit here?
Yeah, the Whiz Kit.
The Chinese version, yes. You get this from a vending machine.
Did you see the
Japan.
SNL sketch? A couple of beers with
Yes, that was good.
Yeah, really funny.
You know who could have I'd have a couple of beers with Joey Bosa. Or Nick Bosa, those guys.
Either one.
Bosa, released by the Chargers. He's going to have options. He could join his brother in San Francisco. They've talked about playing together.
Doesn't he
Bosa
feel,
brothers,
though,
much like the Kelce brothers?
He's someone who's going to have one more good run of like a year or two.
9-year run there.
Yeah, well, he was good, but he's also one of those guys that his name appears, and every fan base wants him because everyone knows who Joey Bosa is. But he's going to go later in free agency for less money than we're expecting. That is my prediction. Even though every single fan base in the NFL wants Joey Bosa because they know the name. At this point in his career, it's going to take longer, and he's going to go to the team of his choosing, and he's going to have some options. But I think he's going to sign for less than we're expecting.
5-time Pro Bowler. Take that for what you want now with the Pro Bowl. 5 out of 9. The last San Diego Charger. How about that?
San Diego Superchargers.
Nice point of emphasis there, pouring one out for them.
I'm ready for them to move back. I think San Diego has served their time. Bring them back. It's time. Let's build a stadium. Let's get them back in San Diego where they belong.
Chad, when is Happy Gilmore 2 going to be released? Do we have the official...
I think we got a banner to show you when it's going to be released. July 25th on Netflix. It's going straight to Netflix, right? This is not is it going to be in theaters at all?
Just Netflix?
Oh, it will hit the... It says...
Let's go theater.
That's interesting.
Please.
It says, I'm reading the awful announcing story. The second installment of Happy Gilmore will hit the big screen, in parentheses, Netflix this summer, with a Friday, July 25th release date. So I'm trying to see if it's going to be in theaters at all. I would go watch this movie in theaters.
Me too.
I don't have to if it's going to go straight to Netflix. But this is one that I would like to pay my hard-earned money to support a film and a project like this. Like if the movie industry wants to make a comeback, I'm very confused by the awful announcing thing where it says coming to the big screen, Netflix, not the big screen. Either way.
I agree with you.
I'm not the editor at Awful Announcing, but I would have some words with the writer of the story if I were the editor.
Your big screen.
Yes. We're trying to support the film industry. I watched the Oscars. That was a big mistake that I watched it on Sunday night. I want to see about 3 of the movies that were nominated for Best Picture, and I think I've seen all 3 of them. There's one I want to get to, The Brutalist. The movie that won Anora, I have no interest in seeing. And Sean Baker, the writer and director of Anora, had this impassioned plea for everyone to get back to the movie theater. And I'm thinking, but no one wants to go see your movie in the movie theater. That's not the type of movies people want to go see in the movie theater. Hutton, Happy Gilmore 2 is the communal experience that I want to experience with other people of my age that are in love with the first film. I want people to gather and go on opening night and laugh together in a movie theater. But I can't do that because I'll be watching by myself on a Friday night while I sip bourbon and watching on Netflix.
So this is just simply because Netflix doesn't believe there's value in the theater.
These are the movies that would bring people back to the theater.
But Netflix won't. They don't do that only because the monetary value isn't worth it versus what we're going to do, which is just watch on their service. That's fine. I wish there was a way to just release it. You could do Netflix for a weekend, whatever you want to do, and then there's one weekend where it's in theaters only. One weekend.
Yeah. First weekend and the next week it's in Netflix.
Something like that. Yeah. But
But again, I'm not.
We're screwed on that.
I'm
We
not
won't see it.
dissing the artistic community that want to make independent films of however you want to make. I'm all for it. I'm a lover of art. Okay, that's all fine. But Sean Baker telling me that people need to get back to the theaters to watch Anora, a movie about the sex work industry in the Russian mob, is not like that's not the one that's going to bring people and families together to the movie theater where they're going to rush out in huge numbers to go support and watch it. Top Gun Maverick is a movie that brought people back to the movie theaters.
There's a different feel there.
Because there was nostalgia, there was patriotism, there was excellence, there was Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise brings people to the theater. If you're looking for a comedy that can bring people back, it's this.
And it takes someone like Tom Cruise to force it in the theater with the opening before the movie starts. He's telling you why it's in the theater.
Now, unfortunately, other than that Glenn Powell movie with Sydney Sweeney, that did pretty well in the movie theaters, I think the days of the comedy doing well at the theater is probably long gone. All of these things are going to do way better on streaming. Comedies especially.
Yeah.
But I've seen plenty of comedies in the movie theater.
I've seen more comedies in the theater, I think, than any other genre.
I mean, but
Old school to
all the ones I can remember now are like we went and saw the Entourage movie together.
we saw. But think about all of the Sandler movies in the theater.
Yeah, the Hangover. But I'm thinking of the 2005 to 2014 range. I saw all 3 Hangover movies in the theater. But outside of that, I can't think of a ton of comedies in the last 7 or 8 years I've rushed to the theater to see. Happy Gilmore 2 is one of them that I would.
What's the one big movie with Chris Rock and Sandler and David Spade? I'm trying to think it.
Oh, Grown-Ups and Grown-Ups 2.
We saw that in the theater. So I mean, Sandler is in the theater, except now. That sucks.
Well, he has signed this exclusive deal with Netflix. It's been going for a while.
Yeah. But this is the one that's worthy.
Right. But some of the stuff he does for Netflix would not do well in the theater.
No.
And it's better for Netflix. But
although
a sequel to a cult comedy classic with Ben Stiller in a cameo role and all these other people from the early mid-90s, that is something that would do well in the
even
theater.
some of his serious
when you
stuff on
bring it back.
Netflix has been great.
Yeah.
For theater purposes.